Good morning. My name is Peter Cribb, and welcome to the 8th monthly Catch Texas Middle School webinar titled Parents Catch On to Wellness. I would like to begin by thanking the Michael and Susan Dell Foundation and the RGK Foundation for providing funding to assist Texas middle schools in meeting the health and physical education standards for Texas children, and to help these schools develop and sustain healthy environments for all. And due to popular demand, we've expanded our webinar series to include a broader audience across the country. This webinar will be archived at www.catchtexasmiddleschool.org. You will be able to download today's PowerPoint from this site. Also on this site, you can access previous webinars. Please note that additional downloads are now also available. If you have questions or comments, you'll be able to access the chat box at the top of your screen, and we'll do our best to address as many of them as we can at the end of the presentation. It is now my pleasure to introduce our special guest for today's webinar, Michelle Smith. Michelle is a marketing and research consultant who became active in social marketing for school health when she became a parent almost 17 years ago. She was recently named State Coordinator for Texas Action for Healthy Kids and is the co-director of the highly successful Southern Obesity Summit just last month in North Carolina. Michelle has just finished a 3-year project for Action for Healthy Kids with the goal of engaging middle school parents in wellness activities in schools. She's an active advocate for school health issues on a state as well as a local basis, serving as the chair for Partnership for Healthy Texas for the last 2 legislative sessions. Michelle also serves as co-chair for her local School Health Advisory Council. Over to you, Michelle.
Thanks, Peter, and welcome everyone. I hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving, ate lots of healthy food, and are ready to roll forward with some great information about parents and getting parents to catch on to wellness. A little bit about Action for Healthy Kids. We are a national organization that was basically founded when David Thatcher released the first report on the obesity epidemic, which was 10 years ago. So 10 years ago, this year, Action for Healthy Kids was formed, and teams from all of the 50 states met together in Washington, D.C. to talk about how we could best work with schools to change nutrition and physical activity and make it a healthier place for kids to learn. So Texas Action for Healthy Kids, which we call TALK sometimes, is the Texas team. We have over 2,000 members now across the state, which is really exciting. It is difficult to keep everybody informed and everybody active when you work in a state the size of Texas. So we work through a steering committee, which is composed of different organizations that have an interest in school wellness, as well as individuals and state agencies. This past year, we were really excited. We were able to award over 20 grants, I think it was 24 grants actually, over $50,000 to work on nutrition. And the grants were funded through Walmart, through the national organization, and our state was one of the I think 12 states that actually received these grants. So we're really excited that we have 24 schools that are working on nutrition initiatives across the state. And if you're a member of Action for Healthy Kids, you'll see information on what these schools are doing as we go forward, and we plan to promote a lot of what they're doing. But the reason I'm here today is to talk about the initiative that we did. Michael and Susan Dell funded an initiative for reaching out to middle school parents and getting them more involved in initiatives around wellness, nutrition, and physical activity. We all know that parents are some of the best advocates we have for getting things done in schools. A lot of times, there's the will and the want there among the teachers and the food service people, and there's just, a lack of personnel, a lack of time to get things accomplished. So by engaging parents, we are increasing the ability of schools to do a lot more around health and wellness. So Action for Healthy Kids, who has worked with schools and tried to provide resources and things through schools for the last 10 years, has put a special emphasis and focus on engaging parents and giving them the tools that they need to help create healthy school environments. So the focus of our grant project was specifically on middle schools. When I was at elementary school, I worked on wellness activities and recess and different things, and there were always plenty of parents around to work on things. And then I got to the middle school, and the first PTA meeting I went to, there were 3 people there. And the interest in anything around nutrition, physical activity was very minimal. Interest in working on anything really by parents was difficult and challenging. Our PTA produced a newsletter and did a carnival, and that was about it. And so I started asking why and what was wrong and where were the parents that I had worked with just the year before, and found out there's a lot of different reasons why parents aren't participating. The kids really don't want you there. They didn't feel welcome. They didn't feel like there was the same opportunity. When they were at the elementary schools, they could hang out on the front sidewalk and talk to other parents, and they could come in and read to kids, and there were lots of things they could do to feel connected with the school, and they just weren't feeling that in the middle schools. There's now 8 teachers instead of just 1 teacher or a homeroom teacher. There are no homeroom teachers. The kids are now involved in things like band and choir, and so the parents splinter off into smaller subsets and support those activities, and there's just not the cohesive opportunity for parents to be engaged. So we were challenged to try to figure out how to get those parents involved in the school, but specifically in things around health and wellness. So what did we find out and what do we do? Well, when it comes to getting them active on health issues, they have to be educated around the issue. And as much as we would like to think that everyone's aware there is an obesity epidemic and that kids are unhealthy, there's still a lot of apathy and a lot of people that aren't really connected to that fact, whether it's because they just don't want to be connected to it, or if they, just really aren't aware. I mean, I've still run into people that don't realize that there's a real issue here. So making sure that they understand there's an issue will definitely improve the chances of getting them involved in something. Connecting that issue to the success of their children is another thing. Middle school parents are more concerned with academics. They don't worry as much about the grades in elementary school. Not that they don't worry, but they become more focused on it as the kids start moving through middle school and they start thinking about the kids going to college, and so academics becomes a lot bigger issue. Parents in middle school, we needed to find things that they could do that were, tasks that could be done within their parameters and their guidelines and their timelines. And then we needed to find a way to motivate them. Communications is an issue. We worked on identifying as many different ways to communicate with parents as possible. One of the other things we did was we looked to the 5th grade. While parents were still engaged in elementary school, going back to the 5th grade and talking to those parents or inviting them to the middle school, and while they're there sharing information on how they could get involved and even signing them up before they got to the 6th grade so that they did feel that connection with the school and they didn't feel like they were walking in cold. The other issue we faced in a lot of the schools that I worked with was the need for bilingual parents and the opportunities to have events that allowed our parents, Spanish-speaking parents in Austin or in Texas, to be a part of the community and feel connected. A lot of times what I got back from the Spanish-speaking parents was that they felt like even if they did speak some English, that it wasn't good enough, that people would look at them as being ignorant. And this group of the parents that I talked to were probably more concerned about the issue around obesity than some of the parents who were, Anglo parents. So there's definitely a desire there, but there is a need for them to be informed in their own language. So finding a way to do that is really, really important. Something that I thought was really helpful and we used a lot, especially in the first year, was the Catch newsletter. Having a newsletter, having a consistent message that can go out to parents is a really important way to communicate with them. We put in special messages to parents in the schools that I was working with talking about policy, talking about what they could do to work on policy at their school, how to get kids physically active, the importance of being a role model. It talked about a lot of things that were supporting what the Catch team was doing with the students, so that it was also going home to the parents. So trying to engage them was going to be a lot easier once they were more educated about what we were trying to do. One of the things that we developed as we went through this process were some tools that we felt would be useful to the Catch teams, to the PTA, to anybody who was trying to motivate parents around wellness. So we worked with the 4 behaviors that CDC had identified as being the most impactful when it comes to health, reducing obesity, and being healthy. Drinking fewer sugary drinks, being more active, eating more fruits and vegetables, and reducing screen time. So what we did was we developed a list of different options that people could do that were reasonable and were not intimidating, and then we developed 4 10-minute videos around each of those categories, and then we developed handouts that reinforced the videos and shared, the steps that people could take. And we did these both in English and Spanish, and they are available on the Action for Healthy Kids website. So I'm going to just walk you through just a couple of things from each of them. We did them originally as a PowerPoint, and then basically did a voiceover and turned them into videos so that people can play them, but they're also available as a PowerPoint as well. The first one's called Swap Out Sodas, and it talks about, the importance of drinking water and the fact that, sodas and other sugary beverages are basically empty calories, and what you need to do to try to move away from the sugary beverages and move more towards water or drinks that have some nutritional value. One of the big problems now is not just facing sodas. Everybody talks about soda taxes and the problem we have with sodas, but the monster drinks are where the teenagers are going now, and there's a lot of different health risks associated with those. I was at a health fair at one of our middle schools, and one of the middle school girls came up and said, "Oh, I drink 4 of those a day," which just scared me to death that this child was drinking 4 monster drinks a day. But they don't understand, and they didn't realize what was in them, what the caffeine content was, what the sugar content was. So parents need to be aware of what's in all of the different drinks and beverages that are out there and be able to share those with their kids. Gatorade is not something that you need to drink as a replacement for soda. Gatorade is manufactured and made for replenishing athletes who are sweating and working out. So those kind of things are something that we try to discuss in these videos a little bit, give parents a little bit of information they can share with their kids. And then, what can you do to kind of take small steps? Just making sure you know how many sugary beverages you're drinking or how many your kids are drinking can make a difference. And then make small changes like, one less soda a day or 1 less soda a week. And then making sure that the kids have access to water at school. And then keeping, say, a water bottle in your car so that you're not tempted to stop at the corner store when your kid says they're thirsty. You can get them some fresh water instead. And then actually showing them how much sugar is in a soda, and then, looking for other drinks that are alternatives for that. On the second one we did is called Let's Get Moving. And this one basically gives some ideas on how you can, why it's important that your kids are active and how much more successful they can be at school if they're active. And then gives you some simple ideas you can do as parents and with your kids to add activity into your daily life. One thing that, just talking on the cell phone. If your kids are talking on the cell phone, have them get up and walk around while they're talking. It doesn't sound like it's going to get you a lot of exercise, but every little bit adds up. So taking you through the little 10-minute video, there's a lot of little tips on things you can just add into your daily work. Take a 15-minute break and walk around outside the office. You see a lot more people in offices these days walking through the halls and walking around the building just to get a little bit of extra exercise, and I think that's a fabulous thing. Eating more fruits and vegetables is called Load Up on Fruits and Veggies, and one of the things that we put in there was about serving sizes. And I know that USDA has the My Plate, which is great, but not if you load up one whole side higher as opposed to actually putting a reasonable amount. So there still is a need to understand what is a serving size. So this little PowerPoint video shows some of the things that you can do and what are reasonable servings in the serving size. We also tried to come up with some ideas for parents who said, well, my kids just won't eat fruit, or, you know, I can't buy it, it's too expensive. It's something that we've heard a lot. But I think a lot of times it's not that the fruit is so expensive as it is that it spoils. You can't keep it in the cabinet, so people feel like it's inconvenient. Putting grapes or bananas in the freezer is a great way to preserve fruit if it looks like it might be going bad. Slicing up the bananas and putting them in a bag makes a great snack. Also, something that kids think is kind of interesting to have. You know, smoothies are a big deal for the high school kids. The older kids love having fresh fruit smoothies. So making those for a breakfast is something that you can usually get a high school kid to drink, as opposed to if you can't get them to sit down and eat a breakfast. But, you know, adding extra veggies in any way you can is definitely going to help and keep your kids a lot healthier. Reducing screen time is one that always is kind of controversial, but just being aware, again, it's kind of like the sugary drinks. Being aware of how much time your family is spending in front of the screen is the first thing you need to do. And once you know that, then trying to figure out what is really reasonable. I know that my kids probably overuse their telephones, their cell phones. So we are trying to do things like, you know, you can only use it for 2 hours in the evening, and that's it. You've got to have 2 hours of screen time. We always make sure that they put it on the charger at night before they go to bed so that they're not tempted to stay in there texting people all night. You can do parent controls on a lot of the different phones, but, you know, or if you're not ready to make big changes, just making small changes like not having the television on during dinner one night a week or 2 nights a week, or watching TV together, or getting up and moving around during the commercials, just different things that you can do, and then making sure that you don't use television or screen time as a reward or punishment if at all possible. Although I know I'm always tempted to take the cell phone away if the kids, you know, grades are going down or something. So those are the 4 videos, and obviously there's a lot more in each one of them. So if you're interested in those, I have the web link where you can download them. They're also on YouTube, so that's another way if you need to share them with a larger group that you can do that. But I'd like to share just a couple of the success stories. We worked with 10 different schools. Each school was pretty unique, and they all did different things. So I'm going to share just 2 or 3 just to give you an idea. Lamar Middle School was probably the most active as far as making changes. And the interesting thing about Lamar was, in the middle of these projects, they got a new principal. And the new principal came from a high school, had no idea what coordinated school health was not really interested in anything to do with health, and was very numbers oriented. So the parents were very successful in, as well as the catch team. The personnel, Peter and his team, came in, shared information about how, you know, nutrition and physical activity can improve academic scores and behaviors, and he listened. And by the time they were through and the parents were through, he was making staff wellness a priority and working to help implement different things that would change the school environment. So it was pretty exciting to see the parents and the catch team work together to convince a principal who really was not informed how important this was. During this 3-year process, there were 3 different catch family nights. They call them Catch a Scotty. And the cafeteria provided food. The assistant principal did aerobics. They had the gym set up for different activities. We had community members in, and it was really effective. We let the 5th grade classes come in. The feeder schools sent their 5th grade, you know, parents and kids as well. And those were a really great way to show how easy it is to be active, what kind of foods the school is actually serving, and no, it's not terrible food. It really is pretty good. And, you know, connect the community and the school together. Excuse me. Also did a cafeteria makeover where we painted stripes on the walls and did some signage and put fruits and vegetables up and made it a better place for kids to eat and feel a little more comfortable. We had a parent whose love was a passion with school gardens, and she succeeded in not only establishing school gardens, they developed a Grow It Yourself club. The science teachers were using the gardens for curriculum teaching, and then they moved into composting. So now they were one of the first middle schools to implement composting in the district. Another parent got involved with Safe Routes to School, got sidewalks changed, got bus stops moved so that they were in safer places, got good signage put up, bike racks. It was just amazing what this parent and the community were able to do around the school to make it easier to walk and bike to school. Then the other thing was they just established what they call the Scotty Dads, and this is where dads came in at lunch so that the kids could go out after they ate and play basketball or soccer or something outside. So that was a way to get the dads involved. Just sign up for one day a month or as much as you like and connect with the kids and let the kids have an opportunity to be active. All this resulted in them getting additional grants from Action for Healthy Kids as well as Catch, and I know they've applied for some grants from HEB and other places. Another one that was really interesting was the Literary Olympics that was held at Ridgeview Middle School. Parents helped with this all-day event, and it involved a lot of activities, donated water, and they did, healthy catch snacks. Activities included Bag the Gnome, excuse me, Tug of War, Dizzy Izzy, and other fun events. And the goal was to tie literacy to physical activity, which is always appealing to your administration. The last event was Books to Kids 2K event, which was actually a district-wide event. And students who had read the books assigned that related to children's health could run in the 2K and then participate in the catch activities on a Saturday. Parents helped supervise and also monitor these activities. Excuse me. Burnet Middle School was a struggling middle school. They didn't have a PTA when we started. They had some issues with getting the PTA established. But then the last year, they did get PTA, and she was definitely interested in doing things around wellness. We also worked with a parent support specialist at this school. The Title I person is responsible for helping parents with different issues around, it could be something related to employment, housing, but definitely anything that could have an impact on their child's ability to be successful in school. So the parent support specialists have been very interested in working with us on different projects, and we partnered with them and AgriLife to do cooking classes at Burnet Middle School, and those were really exciting. We had about 20 parents that attended the 7-week course, and the ones that completed it, I believe 18 completed it, got a gift card to HEB. And then one of the parents actually helped us recruit from the 5th grade class and went and talked to them about healthy eating and shared information with the incoming fifth graders, which was great. They also had a day in the spring where they planted what they called their peace garden, which was herbs as well as some different flowers. And then they did taste testing. And one of the teachers grilled asparagus for the taste testing. And they used the suggestion we had about the frozen grapes and actually had that as part of their taste testing, which was kind of cool. So those were like 3 of the schools that we worked with. And how are we doing on time? There are a couple of things here I'll just share really quickly. Each campus is supposed to have a campus improvement plan, which is part of what the Campus Advisory Council, the Site-Based Committee, whatever they're called, at your school, puts together every year and turns into the district. And how the school is implementing coordinated school health is supposed to be part of that plan. So it's really a helpful thing for parents who are interested in doing things at the school. They can ask about this if the campus improvement plan has it. If not, can they work on it and help the school identify some different things that can improve the environment? A lot of times the parents can take things places that staff can't. And then if you're interested in different processes, there's guidelines on wellness policies. Action for Healthy Kids has resources, and the Yale Rudd Center also has something called WellSat. And these are both good tools for measuring your wellness policies and seeing where you might need to improve. And then, of course, CDC has the School Health Index. And as far as resources from Action for Healthy Kids, we now, as I mentioned, have a dedicated page for resources for parents, which includes the videos and things. And I have that website on the last slide. If you're interested in some specific initiatives, there's Game On, which helps launch students on a program for eating healthy and being active. Recharge is for the elementary schools. And then there's one for high school called Students Taking Charge. And high school students can be so effective. I mean, there's a group of kids in New Orleans I met at the Obesity Summit called the Rethinkers, and they actually worked with Aramark on improving the school meals. They developed report cards for each school and then measured the schools as far as their food, how they tasted, how it looked, how many fruits and vegetables. So these kids did a fabulous job of working and improving their school meals. So if you're interested in something with high school students, that's Students Taking Charge. It's an online opportunity you might want to look at. Fuel Up to Play 60 is hello. The National Dairy Council and the NFL have joined together to put this website up, and it's an opportunity. If you join the Fuel Up to Play 60 team, they have funding up to $4,000 per school that you can apply for. In Austin, our school district applied and received funding for all our elementary schools to do playground markings, which gives the kids specific things they can do out on the playground. We have blacktops at each school, and so they were painted, and the kids have the great opportunity to go out and use these playground markings to be active. Of course, Catch has great resources. Our Texas PTA Healthy Lifestyle page is a wonderful place to look for things like healthy school fundraisers. Active Life, if you haven't been there, that's a great place to showcase what your school is doing and share it with the community. And then a lot of schools are doing things with the Healthier USDA Challenge, and it does have a parent component, and parents need to be an integral part of that process. AgriLife has resources for cooking classes. They have Walk Across Texas. They are a great partner for schools that people don't even think about. So contact AgriLife. Find out.
Michelle, did we lose your audio there?
No. Hello?
Michelle, are you still there?
Yes, I am.
Yes, I can hear.
Hello? Hello, can you hear me? I'm here.
Michelle.
Yes.
Yes. Please
Hello?
go on.
Oh, okay. Anyway, don't overlook your AgriLife Extension agent as a person that can help you out. And then there is a toolkit which was the basis of our starting the middle school project called Parents Are the Power, which is also downloadable from Action for Healthy Kids. One more place that you can be involved on a district level is your School Health Advisory Council. Each School Health Advisory Council has to have each district has to have a School Health Advisory Council, and 5 of the members, with at least 5 members, and half of the members need to be parents with school-age children who are not employed by the district. So the intent is to really get parents involved in the decisions around health. Some are more active than others. Austin tries to implement all 8 components and work on different aspects each year. Some years there's more focus on physical activity. Another year they may be focusing on bullying. But the Schools Advisory Council is a great way for parents to have input and be involved in the decisions around school health. And that's a whole session in itself. So I hope that what I've shared with you has been useful. If you're not a member of Action for Healthy Kids, you can go to the website and make the pledge and join the team. Love to have you, and we'll keep you posted on opportunities for grant funding or other webinars. The national organization has created an entire series around parent leadership and is doing webinars on different things about policy and different aspects of parent involvement. So we'll keep you posted on all those things. I appreciate your time and attention. There is my contact information, the parent resource page, and feel free to call me with any kind of questions you might have.
Great, thank you, Michelle. If anybody's got any questions for Michelle, we've got about 3 or 4 lined up here. Please feel free to type them into the chat box at the top of your screen. Michelle, I've got a question for you. Success stories. They are very interesting. One thing I was very interested in at the beginning, you talked about some barriers. How did you gather information from the parents? Was there a survey that you used? Or?
Yeah, we've actually done both. SurveyMonkey is a free service, and I have used that extensively. It's a great tool not just for collecting information from your parents, but also educating them. So when you're doing a survey, you're sharing information about, we would like to do this kind of project. This is what's going on. Now we'd like to find out this from you. What are the best times to reach you? What is the best way to communicate with you? We find out that a lot of the parents, yes, they had email, but no, they never read it. So that was really not the best way to contact them. The best way was by telephone in a lot of cases. So surveys are a great way, and like I said, SurveyMonkey allows you up to 10 questions for free, and is a wonderful resource tool, pretty easy to use to get information about parents. And we also, just did informal polling of parents at PTA meetings and, one-on-one, why aren't you doing this?
Right. Going back to the success stories for a sec, did each campus choose the various initiatives, or did you provide them with a list or suggestions?
Good question. In a lot of cases, I would say that we tried to encourage the parents. We gave them a document that had a lot of different ideas and that they could choose from. We hoped that they would do like a survey and determine what the issues were on the campus. For instance, the Lamar said, well, our cafeteria is really terrible and the kids just, don't like eating there. But they don't have any choice. So it's like, well, then we need to do something about that, and let's do a cafeteria makeover. If our kids aren't getting outside, they're not being active. Well, what can we do about that? Well, we can get the dads to come in. So, or we're having issues around, and this was a survey by the school to find out why kids weren't walking to school. Was it because they lived too far away and were more transfer students? Was it because there weren't sidewalks? So once we did that survey and found out what the issues were, then that's where that group went to the community and to the city and said, we need more sidewalks, we need this bus stop moved, here are the things that are causing the issues.
Right. Michelle, you mentioned a little bit earlier about principals and school administrators and the issue of academic improvements for healthy kids. Were any of the schools working on comparing the basic health initiatives with academic progress at all?
Peter, I think we relied more on data from outside the school. We did look at, a lot of the schools looked at the FitnessGram data, but they really weren't comparing it one-on-one. We relied on some of the catch and the information we could get from UT that related back to how schools were doing and the academic environment, because these groups were not that well-versed in trying to do something like that. But they did look at the FitnessGram data and see, wow, we didn't realize we had 35% of our fifth graders or sixth graders are obese, or overweight or out of fitness ranges.
Right, and I think that the Texas Education Agency showed a pretty good correlation between those FitnessGram results and academic performance. On another question, school administrators, that they kind of make or break a lot of these efforts. What sort of efforts did you go about to garner administrative support in the schools?
We initially, the first thing you have to do is talk to the principal, and I think that's a lot of times that parents seem to be intimidated by or concerned about, the principal. So, one of the suggestions in our parent leadership series is, take every opportunity you can to walk up and say hello and make the principal know who you are, and then set up a meeting with the principal, and don't go by yourself. Take at least one or two other parents and then sit down and talk to them about, what is it he is interested in and what motivates him. Before we met with the new principal at Lamar, we had found out that he was really data driven and that he was a master scheduler and he was really interested in facts and numbers. So when we went in, we were prepared with the type of information that would appeal to him and really motivate him to want it to make a change. So some people, even I work with the legislature a lot, and a lot of times the things that move them aren't the facts and figures. Sometimes it's the story. We have this child who is, really struggling academically, and we want to be able, to help them, and we feel that, if we can do something around getting these kids active, or if the whole school in a certain area is not active, there's no recess, and if we could really get them outside and get them playing and moving, then the test scores will go up. Or if there's issues around hunger and nutrition, the principal may respond more readily to that, depending on the environment. So finding out what makes your principal tick and then appealing to that will definitely make it a lot easier to do projects.
Yeah, it was certainly very evident across our 39 middle schools, the principal involvement for sure. One last question here on, I guess, unhealthy fundraisers. We see a lot of schools raising money, and there's lots of different ways to go about doing that. How did you address those issues in these schools?
That's probably still one of the hardest things that we work with, and I guarantee you PTA has some great resources on their Healthy Lifestyle page. So if you'll go to the PTA website, and I believe that you can access the Healthy Lifestyle page without even signing in and get that information. There's also an organization called CSPI, Center for Science in the Public Interest, and they have a lot of ideas about healthy fundraisers or different alternative fundraisers. They don't not necessarily it's not necessarily that they have to be healthy. It could be a lot of schools are going to passive fundraisers where you sell grocery cards and you get funding back. You get dollars back for every dollar that's spent at Target or different places like that. So those things are definitely options. Fun runs, different types of races, something that there's actually organizations now out there who can manage them for you. So a lot of groups, a lot of schools are doing things around healthier ideas. And if you've got standard things that you're already doing, make some minor changes to it. If you do a carnival, just consider switching out, some of the sodas for water, or making sure that you have some healthier options. When we got into middle school dances, we would serve sodas for the first half, but then when it came to the second half, we only had water available. So just making some, small changes can help you get moving forward, and you don't have to make everything overnight. And I think that's one of the big issues a lot of schools have, is they don't want to change everything immediately. So just start out small or start out slow.
Learn, isn't it, that everything takes a little bit of time, but if you stay with it, we can expect to, and we've seen some wonderful things happening in the schools. Michelle, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure working with you over the last 3 years, and thank you for all you are doing to create, support, and sustain healthy environments in Texas schools.
Well, it's amazing. I want to thank Catch for all they've done for Texas for these last, how many years, Peter?
It's been a while.
Because they've been there and always come and been available and participated. I did my first family fitness event in elementary school. My kids are now a junior and a sophomore, so you're talking, a long time ago. And Peter was there with his team to share information on sugary drinks and sodas, and Catch was not, it's just always been fabulous to be able to count on the Catch team. So thank you for all you guys do for us.
Thanks again, Michelle. And to remind everybody, our 7 previous webinars are archived on www.catchtexasmiddleschool.org, and you'll see everything from school level implementation to a large school district. I think it's the 7th largest in the country, Dallas ISD, and how they go about implementing coordinated school health in the Catch program. So thanks everybody. We look forward to our next webinar in 1 month's time.